Welcome instructors. This is just a quick demonstration for you guys on how to navigate in the key areas that you're going to use within NetSuite. Okay, so you're going to go to www.netsuite.com, enter the ID that we give you and your password, and you're going to log in. Then you're going to be brought to this first screen where you're going to just confirm that you're using the right database and the right role. So the database that you're using is going to be listed right up here on the top right below your name. So AVC shared in spring 2016 is what you should see. And then the role that you're using will be attached, hyphenated to the database. So administrator is what you should see here for me. But what you'll see is that there's multiple roles set up. So just like in any company, where your access is defined by the job that you have. It's exactly the same here within our NetSuite system, but what we want to make sure is that both yourselves and your students, that you always make sure that you're only selecting administrator so that you have full access to all of the different transactions that you're going to be asked to complete throughout the semester. Okay, so if you click on warehouse or marketing or whatever it might be, you might not be able to perform some of the functions, and then obviously students might get frustrated, and you just need to make sure that you advise everyone to make sure that when you're logging in, just make sure that you're clicking on administrator. That's the only role that you use throughout any of the courses. So after that, click on the little house, and that's what brings us to our dashboard. So it's our home page, our main screen. If this were being used in the workplace, if I was an accounts receivable, I would personalize and customize my dashboard to show me, customer balances. I would see graphs of my my aging customer balances. You could have reports put on your homepage. So if you want your aging reports, any customer specific types of reports, any report that's available within the system, you can have it brought to your dashboard so that when you log in first thing in the morning, you can see your critical key performance indicators right here on your homepage. You don't have to open up anything. It's here ready for you, ready to start your review. So that's a wonderful little tool or part or aspect of NetSuite. It's such a it's a very it's a great visual system. It's not rigid as a system like SAP, for example. It's quite flexible. It's very easy to use. I think it's a very fluid system. So hopefully you guys find the same, and so do your students. That's the key here. And one thing that's really important for you guys all to remember is that we don't expect you guys to become experts on the system. For courses 28, 29, and 30, you're just going to be doing really simple things like entering journal entries, maybe creating some sales invoices, processing some receipts, accepting some payments, running the balance sheet, running the income statement, looking up the trial balance and chart of accounts. So pretty simple exercises, but enough just to give a taste of what the system capabilities are, how it's very similar to other, what we're already maybe using in the workplace. But also the point is each activity that we've built for you for each week of your courses, the activity really links to what you're learning in that week, what your students are learning in that week, and what you're teaching. So what we really want is to link the content of the week to the ERP system and give the students a real sense of what we're talking about, what does it really look like in the real world. So being able to have access to NetSuite is a great way for us to put together the theory and the practical, and show the students what it really does look like. Because you have to remember, some of your students will be experienced within accounting already. They might be more mature students, but some of them might be trying accounting or getting into accounting for the first time. So you really have to understand that some of the very simple things that we might take for granted about accounting, these students don't know it yet. So this is a really great way to link both the practical and the theory and really make sense for maybe some of the work that these individuals are already doing in class, in the workspace. Okay, so what is important for you guys at this point to do is to go through the transactions So the key ones for courses 28, 29, and 30 are going to be found firstly in financial. So this is where we're going to find our journal entries, task. Okay, auto-populate the entries for you. Your date will automatically be picked up. Your posting period will automatically be picked up to reflect the current point in time. And then very simple, okay, what's the account that we want? We can list it. If we click out of here, we can list it here if we don't know them off the top of our heads. Sorry, if you go here, you list it. So if we want to post something to the checking account, so cash, I enter my 1,000. You always click add to go to the next line, and I'll just pick revenue for the sake of, and it'll auto populate. And then if you just want to add your memo, there you go, done. Click add, and then you hit save, and it is posted. As long as it balances, it will post it. And with every single function that you're going to complete within NetSuite, if it works, you'll get this green banner at the top with the confirmation and the check mark. So if you don't see that, it didn't go through. Okay, so that's a very, very simple task. If you want to see what that looks like on the GL, the entry that you just put through, you click on GL impact, and there you'll see the impact of the entries you just posted. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Within purchases, you'll find obvious items like entering a purchase order and receiving those orders. Within payables, that's where you'll be able to bill those purchase orders, enter the bills, pay your bills, approve the bills. Sales, if you're going to create opportunities which lead you to quotes, which lead to sales orders. It's a wonderful sequence of events. You know, some great discussion points for you guys with your class here is because they have it listed for you here in sequence. It's just a great way to explain to students, the flow the flow of the work within a company. And this will come in, for example, in course 29 when we talk about the quote to cash cycle. This is just a great opportunity to show the students all the different pieces that have to come together before a sales actually leads to cash in hand. So that's why I really like the system, because it really allows a great visual for the users to really see the connection. Billings info can be found here, or billing transactions, customers. So if we want to accept payments logically, we're going to find that here. We don't do anything with the first three courses, 28, 29, or 30, in terms of employees, commissions, inventory. Obviously, we can take a look at the inventory that we have on hand through here. We don't use manufacturing, and we don't use quota forecast or management either. So the main ones for us are purchases, payables, sales, billings, customers, and financial. The next important area through lists, here is where we can find our chart of accounts and our inventory list. And those are probably the only two items that you'll use in courses 28 to 30, okay? Reports would be the next one. If you actually click here where it says Reports Overview, you'll have a listing that you can expand on each one. The different reports that are available, the main ones for courses 28 to 30 will be found under the payable section, under the customer section, so our AR data, sales data, inventory data, and obviously the big ones, the financial reports, okay? So these are the ones that you really may have to make sure that you're pretty familiar with. Being able to walk through the balance sheets and the income statements is really important, because you have to remember that not all of your students are going to be able to create income statements right off the hop, okay? So you're going to have to make sure you walk through the composition, that an income statement starts off with our revenues on top, our cost of sales if relevant, then our expenses. So the format, this introduction to financial accounting, so we have to start from the beginning, the format of how to put together the balance sheet, what are assets, what are liabilities, what are equity accounts, How do they increase? How do they decrease? So this is just a great way. So once you've gotten through, the first 2 weeks in courses 20 and 29, where we're making sure that the students have that solid understanding of those fundamentals, then we can start to show them. Once we're able to grasp that, that's how we can turn that information, the trial balance, into the income statement and into the balance sheet. So again, just great visual ways for students to see these accounts that we talk about. This is where they land. This is where they end up. Okay? So please do come back and get familiar. Not familiar with, I know you guys all know what the financial statements are, but just where they are within here, and just the points to make sure that you explain to your students. Link it to whatever you're talking about during that week. In courses 28 and 29, if you're talking about accounts receivable, right? It's our current asset. Here we don't have an allowance for doubtful accounts, but if we did, it would be listed directly below the accounts receivable account. In those courses, we talk about assets, and we also talk about accumulated depreciation. You can come back here and link the two together and say, here's where we would find the listing of our fixed assets and their related accumulated depreciation accounts, and we have it listed this way so that we can see the net balance of the items. Unfortunately, here they don't have it listed so that the depreciation is directly below the fixed, the furniture, for example, so that you see the net. But again, just to explain that when you have your asset and then you net it against its accumulated depreciation, we see what the company has for a net book value. So this is just, again, a great way to link what they're going to be learning in a week to how it actually comes to fruition on the financial statements. Okay, and I really like using these financial statements because they really look more like what a student would see in the real life in the workplace, versus sometimes in textbook, or even if they Google the balance sheet, you'll get such a simplified balance sheet that doesn't really look realistically like what a student might see in the workforce. That's the other value in using the NetSuite as well to facilitate your lectures. If we go to reports, we do a lot of talking about aging and aging payables and receivables. So you click on your AP aging, for example, and here we have the listing of all of our vendors and our balances. And we do talk about the aging a lot, especially with accounts receivable, when we talk about having to create the allowance for doubtful accounts and what we need and what it's based on. And I mean, these are reports that are very, very much in use and very much a practical part of a junior or entry level accounting position in AP or AR. So it's something that students should be really familiar with if they haven't already worked within AP or AR. So again, this is just a great way for them to see what exactly it is that we're talking about. When we have discussions about not getting your customers to pay, well, then you open up your AR aging schedule and you can link the two together for them. So it's just about yourselves finding a way to use what's within NetSuite to relate it to your content for the week, just to really try to, again, bring your practical and your theory together and hopefully get somewhere close to what a real life scenario looks like. So that's where you would find the reports that you're going to use in the course. And here again, they break them down into the financials. We're really not going to use many of the other ones, but there's reports if you want to see your purchases. Here's where we would find our AP reports. Our inventory reports are going to be found here. We don't have full access to the costing module, so nothing there for us. And obviously in the customers, the main ones would be the AR reports. And if there's anything else that you find within here when you're taking the time to go through it, by all means, you're more than welcome to have some free reign to link however you want whatever you're seeing to your course. You have that ability to do so. This is just a guideline. We give you the guideline, but that as a minimum, you can really take it wherever you want. Another great thing that I wanted to show you guys is, for example, Alexander Valley Vineyards, just to show you how NetSuite works, so you can show your students as well. They have an open balance of 20,000. I want to know where this balance is coming from. Just click on it, and it'll take you to the transaction. Okay, so it's 2 items, and then I can click on it again. Come on, it's thinking about it. Take me to the bill. Bill being invoice. Purchase order, I guess, sorry. And here we go. This is what we ordered from our vendor for that $8,000, I believe that it was. So that's one of the great things about NetSuite, is that you can just click your way through, starting from the financial statements. You can just continue to drill down and drill down until you get to the backup that you need to get. And I'm sure that we all know that in the workplace, in the workforce, the reality is that if you don't have such a fantastic system like this put together, there's paperwork, there's emails that need to get sent, etc. So it'll take a lot longer. So just the efficiency that you have with this system, I think it's pretty fantastic, just to see that within seconds you can go from a balance sheet to an invoice. It's really it's just for productivity. You can't beat being able to have that kind of speed behind you. It's pretty fantastic. So I would definitely show my students something like that. It's just it's a great efficiency. And then you could just click back, and you'll get back to the AP aging that you were looking at. It's loading. It's thinking about it. What else is important? Just some tricks or some great features of NetSuite. If you go to documents in your files, you can build what's called your own filing cabinet. So if there's anything in particular that and if this was a real life situation, if there were particular invoices that I thought, maybe there's an issue that are going to come back on, or that you had to do something special to that invoice to process it or whatever, you could save that document into your filing cabinet instead of having to sort through the way we just did to go look for the invoice. You can just put it in your little filing cabinet and have it ready to go. So what this does is allow you to eliminate, typically when we need to have things readily accessible or available, we'll save it on our network drive, on our personal drive documents, whatever the case may be. But here you can just have this cabinet set up within your ERP system. The whole purpose, like with the way the system has been built, is that you don't have to use multiple systems. You don't have to use an external email. You don't have to use external network paths, folders, this, that, the other thing. Everything that you need will be available to you by logging into your NetSuite, and you should be good to go. You can email through here. You can do everything that you need to do through NetSuite. So it's got some excellent capabilities. So I can't stress enough that between now and when you start your courses, log in, take a look at, like I said, the transactions. Just be familiar with what what is available. The report section, again, running the financials is going to be your main task through the report section. You're really only going to be using reports and transactions for your courses. Okay. It's critical that you make sure that you review your NetSuite activities each week, and that you're able to complete them yourself, so that if your students do have questions, that you can obviously give them the help that they need. And in terms of help, obviously you can click on the little help button here, enter the topic. If you can't find enough here, you can go click on Suite Answers and enter your topic again, and there'll be more information available to you. But also within your Commons, the Commons in Slate of all of your courses, under Facilitator Resources, we have put together we've downloaded the NetSuite guides for you, and we've placed them in there. So you also have that as a point of reference as well. So you have 2 areas within the help section here on NetSuite, and the guides within Slate. So you should have more than enough help available. And then obviously you can always go to us, the program coordinators, and we can help you out if you do get stuck on something. I think just the one thing that you guys might need to do is go under Setup and go to Company and go to Manage Accounting Periods. Just make sure that you have your 2016 set up. So here I have mine is open. If you don't see 2016 open for you, just go here to set up a full new year, and start would be January, fiscal year would be 2016, and then just hit save, and then you won't have any issues, because if you noticed when I went to go create the journal entry, just thinking about it, you have to, because it's today's date is obviously 2016, and I have my posting periods available. If you don't have it open, it's not going to post, or if you haven't done that step that we just looked at, it won't be able to post for you. And then also, if you try to run your reports, if you think you're trying to run 2016 but you haven't set it up, you won't see any information. If you've posted transactions in 2016 but you haven't opened up the periods, then the reports, it won't show up in the reports. So bottom line is, just make sure, go to setup, go to accounting, go to manage accounting periods, and just make sure your 2016 is there. And if it's not, just open it up. So this way you won't have any issues with posting or with running your reports and seeing the data being populated. Okay, so good luck to all, and we'll be in touch throughout the semester. Thank you.